being associated with that family, it's like Michael Jordan's son plays basketball, right? It's like it's just such a big shadow, right? Sean Lennon, right? Sean Lennon is John Lennon's kid. Just like, you know, that's a form of adversity in some sense, because like people come in with prejudgments and it's like, so
that's what I've dealt with majority of my career. But you could let it affect you, or you could let it make you stronger, because it's nothing that anyone did. It's just
it's like you just got born into this, right?
Yeah. I was just a lucky sperm, kind of popped in, and I was up in this bitch. You know, and ended up, and it's all frequency. You know, when my mom was pregnant with me, she had a hit record at the time, and so she's playing and she's singing around the world, and she's pregnant with me. So of course I picked up on that. And I came into the world with that energy. So it's natural that I would have a love for what I do for a living. Yeah, because I feel like we get programmed in the womb. Actually, my father was a child prodigy, played with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra on piano at the age of 8. So I got this musical diet. So it's no wonder I was an A&R for a little while, and I just had that feel for music. When people found out, they would react to me differently, which... it was frustrating for a few reasons. Is because you're reacting to me over something that I didn't even do. Thankful to my mom and my father that always made sure that they gave my sisters and I really, really a good perspective on all of this. And the fact that, you know, your family, this is their job. You know, the difference between them and other people is that people just watch them do their job. Just growing up as a kid can be awkward and uncomfortable at times, right? Yeah. In its own way. Yeah. And so when you put that on top of it, Austin, that's gotta be uncomfortable. Yeah, definitely. I grew up in an area that was predominantly Jewish, and so I was around a lot of different Jewish kids and Persian kids growing up in school, and white kids. There were only like 2 other black kids in my school. And I saw the difference between how they treated me before and then how they treated me when they found out who my family was. All of a sudden, I'm getting invited over everyone's houses, and their parents are asking me personal questions about this and that. And you see very, very young what this is. And if you're young enough, you can actually capitalize on it yourself. You know, you would play in. Did you think about playing into it? But 100% I would. I would mess with people as they were trying to mess with me, because they didn't think that I was actually catching on to it. Okay. So I'm like, if this is why you're going to, you know, react to me, I'm just gonna let you do it and get what I want out of it. Wow. It was very, very messed up, because it's not teaching you a very balanced way of open communication from the jump. Yeah. You know, it's all predicated on what someone wants and what they want from you, and then it's now back and forth. Yeah, bro, it's very surface manipulative-y. It's like it's not our higher consciousness at all, which you know. And I was seeing that at 7-8 years old. You have to differentiate who's around you for what reason they're around you. And that's very, very hard as you're coming up and as you're learning. And so what you end up doing is that you end up kind of going inward. And thankfully I had a lot of cousins, you know, and we would just be amongst ourselves. It was almost like a support group, it felt like, for what to do with these feelings, right? Yeah, 100. And that's where playing music became therapeutic. Trust me, there are many instances where it could be a lot worse, but from my experience in my existing and growing up, that's what I saw. Well, the first time I went on stage was with my mom. She was performing in Japan, and I must have been like 3 years old, and she threw me on and did the whole thing, and I was what were you, like 4 or 5? Like how 3 old? You were 3. Okay, cool. I was 3, and I just remember feeling the energy of the crowd and the stage, and it was just immediately, it was amazing just to see how much of an energy and that is back and forth. It's very, very surreal, and that's what first got me hooked. And so I got to watch people be dedicated at their craft at different levels. My aunt Janet, her and I are closer, because almost like a mentor to you, would you say, Janet? Yeah, for sure. And very close growing up, because she lived like not too far from us, and so you know, she would pick me up and I'd go on drives with her, and she would always break down what she was doing. And she was also an artist, especially during that time, who was very much so into the visual aspect of her creativity. So I got to learn a lot about how it would go from song into what she wanted to portray visually, the message that she wanted people to to feel, to think. And she was very, 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 very dedicated. And I think that was just a family trait. That was what my grandfather instilled in all of them at a young age, being from Gary, Indiana, is the work ethic and the practice. With Michael, with MJ, he showed me how there's no idea that's unattainable. He was always the bigger picture. He one time told me, he said, you could kill someone in China with your brain. He says, that's why you have to watch what you put out there, because your brain is so incredibly powerful. So be very, very careful with your thoughts. Be very, very careful with what you put out there. And, you know, we were sitting one night. We used to have talks till like 5 a.m. We'd stay up at his ranch and we would just talk all night just about those types of lessons and visualization and creating something that goes far beyond you. He was very, very, very keyed in and obsessed with that. A little too much at times. I know that was you asked me a question, I tried to answer it authentically in that way. So
that was a home run, Austin.